welcoming you to the 187th edition of the Kirby on Sports podcast. We talk about our venture to Thursday night football at Fedex Field, and then we will breeze around the rest of the NFL, short and sweet, on episode 187 coming up next. Welcome into episode 187 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. As always, huge thanks to our sponsors, PM Plus Reserve, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate, Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services, Shenandoah Music, Mark Lynch with Guild Mortgage, and Don't Sleep Energy, the official energy drink of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Use promo code KOS podcast for 12% off your order every single time. We're not wasting any more time. The Weapon, Dan Dembski. What's going on, buddy?
How's it going, man? Another week down. Another crazy week in the NFL, man. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's just one of those days where
Yeah.
It's just one of those days I feel like just taking a nap all day. But we can't do that. We have another week of the NFL that we have to cover. And our next co-host, and he is very gracious for coming on because today is the Swiss Army knife's birthday. So let's get it going, Dan. You ready?
Let's do it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez. Happy birthday to you. And if that's not a proper introduction, then I have failed society.
I mean, you already failed society as it is, but that was lovely. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys. Season 28 is kicking off right now. Yeah, I appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, Carlos,
only the best for you, Carlos.
Happy birthday, and just to spend part of your birthday with us really means a lot. So I hope year 28 kicks off very well for you, and we appreciate you as always, my friend.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys.
All right, so let's get into it. We're not wasting any more time. This is short and sweet because Carlos is contractually obligated at other...
What? No, we can't use that term for everything. What are you doing? Hey, we don't need to reveal anything. Let's just go. Let's go.
No, you just got events.
No, let's go. Let's go. Just start the pod. We don't have to explain anything. Let's go.
Boys, we went down to Fedex Field on Thursday, and we'll talk about that disaster of a game in a moment. But overall, primetime Thursday football, tailgating, then going to a night game, I kind of like that vibe. The wings, the pizza. Yeah. I like that vibe.
It was great. And I've also never tailgated at an NFL game before, so that was the first for me. I've tailgated at several college games, but it's a different environment in the NFL. And I think, too, like, I know although FedEx Field is dunked on a lot and should be, rightfully so, it was still a really good environment, both for the tailgate itself and for the fan experience for the game, especially at the kickoff of the game, which I know we're going to talk about the game itself. But no, it was really enjoyable. It was a good time. We had cornhole as well. We also threw the football around with some strangers. Carlos injured his finger in the process there. Hope you're doing okay, Carlos. You haven't given us an update on that yet. So
It's moving fine.
that's good. That's good.
It still hurts. Don't get twisted.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. So yeah, but it was a really good time, and definitely was worn out after that.
Well, I'll tell you, it's different than waking up from essentially my general area, and I can't speak for you, obviously, Dan, because you live closer, but my general area, it takes maybe an hour 45 to 2 hours to get to FedEx Field. So if it's a 1 o'clock kickoff, you're waking up early in the morning. So that early tiredness hits you. In tailgating isn't the same, but you have that prime time feel. You get to the stadium early, like 3 o'clock. I think the lots open. I knew we didn't get there at that time, but still getting in there, getting set, tailgating, throwing the football. It's just a different vibe than waking up completely early in the morning and going to a football game.
Yeah, and you have all day to get amped up too. I think that's part of it, like the adrenaline builds all the way to kickoff. So I think that's good too. That's a great point. I hadn't even considered about just the morning tiredness too, when you have to get up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. to go to a 1 o'clock game, and if you're 2 hours away. So yeah,
we haven't. We've been doing this. Going to a football game together for the past 3 seasons. This is the first time we ever actually tailgated because it was like the perfect opportunity to. So
absolutely.
And the last 2 years, the game has been at 1 o'clock. So we're there at we're at the stadium by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And already going to our seats. We didn't even chill in the parking lot at all for any of the games, honestly. So, it was a good time. I had a good time. I had a blast.
Well, I must say the tailgating portion of it, Carlos, cold cuts would have been boring.
Yeah, I told you they would have been boring. For those of you that don't know, of course, nobody else knows because they weren't in our post-show meetings. We were discussing what to get, what to do food-wise, or if we even wanted to tailgate. And Kirby tried to throw out that we should just get cold cuts and make sandwiches. And I was like, the heck is wrong with you? Who tailgates with cold meat? If I want a cold sandwich, I might as well just stay home or whatever. Who makes cold cuts at a freaking tailgate? So then, of course, we're rocking with limited space in terms of car, because we took Dan's car, and Dan just, he drives just a normal car.
2 cornhole boards, not to mention.
That was how we managed to drive with those all night and not get pulled over was insane to me. Because there's no way that was legal. There's no shot that was legal, Dan.
I could see mostly out the passenger.
I don't know, dude. It got a little questionable at times.
I'm like, hey, can you let me know if there's anything coming on that side? I can't.
Yeah. Plus the DC and Maryland drivers too. It just made for a fun ride down and back.
Yeah, a lot of
dude. The ride back was terrible in terms of the drivers. Not the actual drive itself. Dan is a pretty good driver. But I'm talking just the other, people literally making up the road.
Right turn on red when it clearly says no.
Or going all the way to the far left lane and then making a hard right. That made no sense. But yeah, no. So Kirby wanted to do cold cuts, and then we ultimately landed on, because we can't bring a grill or anything. Although we could buy a mini grill next time, but it would take forever. But maybe next time. We'll discuss next time. But long story short, we ended up getting pizza, chips, beers, wings. The wings were phenomenal.
Dude, those wings were good.
We got wings from Wegmans.
They weren't too overly dressed, if you get what I mean. But
yeah, absolutely,
just the right style.
Mm-hmm. And we got 40 wings, 10 in different, in 10s, whatever, the different flavors. Mm-hmm. Their original buffalo was my favorite, my personal.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love that their original buffalo. And then we just kind of chilled. We played cornhole. We like Dan said, we passed the football with some other guys that were there at the game, and I hurt my finger at some point. Still hurts. And yeah, we had ourselves as a neutral, as me and Dan were neutrals.
Yeah,
we had the time of our
enjoyable.
lives.
It's
It was a
very
great
enjoyable
time.
to not have a stake in the game.
Not having
It's
to
really
be stressed under it, because
really
even when we went to, when we went last year to the Ravens game, me and Kirby were technically neutrals, but I was rooting for the Ravens hard because I wanted Dan to go home with a win. But this time, I legitimately had no vested interest in who won this game, and it was a great time. We had great seats. It was a good experience.
Incredible seats, great view. There was almost a fight, but no fights in our section. Thank the
happens
Lord.
at every game.
I know.
Happens at every game now.
I'm pretty sure there was a fight at the game. We just didn't see it.
Probably so. Who knows? But I'll tell you, the scarves we got, I sent it in the group message. Really, really great item to give out. I mean, something to hang on the wall, and then there's ribbons you got too, because it was the crucial catch game. And then at halftime, also having all the survivors and fighters come out. Very, very, very cool gesture as well. So
very, very moving. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you all noticed as well. No, I'm sorry, you weren't there, but I went up to the Hog Farmers tailgate. Shout out to the Hog Farmers.
You mean when you kept disappearing for
didn't say
40
anything.
minutes at a time and not
walked
saying
away.
anything?
Well, the team president, man. The team president going around to all the tailgates. I'm like, I mean, that's just great.
He still didn't show up at ours, so did he really go around all the tailgates?
Not
told about ours then.
A select few. They were on a tight schedule, but I did get to see Jason Wright. I did see him previously at training camp. So I just think that goes to show how much interest this ownership group and president in Jason Wright have in trying to change the culture, which slowly and surely it's happening. But
they never would have done that under Dan Snyder. They probably never did.
Absolutely.
Shocking if they would ever.
They're going around talking to fans, asking what they like, what they don't like, and they're adapting, which I really like. As a fan of the Washington Commanders, that is really good. So they're fixing, they're slowly but surely working on that aspect. But then the next aspect they're going to have to work on is their on the field performance, which we'll get to in a second. But I went up to the Hog Farmers tailgate. Really great atmosphere up there, and got a chance to see Jason and my friend Joey Colby Begovich, who is the VP of guest experience. He literally makes sure everything is running smoothly in and around the stadium on game day. So everything that is operational, the food, and he's been on my podcast before. He is like the mastermind of it all. So shout out to Joey as well, because he's doing great work at FedEx Field as well. But I mean, those were my 2 cents on the tailgate there and that. But it was fun throwing the football around.
Yeah, I felt like I was getting back in my old days throwing the football, man.
Yeah,
I missed it.
Yeah, it warmed me out a little bit too.
Yeah, we're completely out of shape.
It doesn't help to drink like 3 beers and then.
Well, yeah, that was the thing too. We had just eaten a bunch of pizza, wing, and beer. And
I'm gonna run a post pattern. Like, who says that? Oh man,
that's why I barely moved. I was like, dude, I can't.
Oh man, this is a good time.
It was a great time, but for you two, the game was probably fun. But for me, I'm questioning what the heck happened on that playing field. I really don't have much positive to say after the Commanders fell to a winless team 40-20, which I'm like, how? But I guess the short week had to contribute to it, but any way you put it,
Bears also had a short week too, though.
Yeah,
any way you put it, the team sucked.
The Commanders,
they played
an emotional game against the Eagles. Where they were so close to winning, they go in that last, game tying drive at the end, and then completely stink it up in overtime. And then come back. Also, they're on the road for that game. Come back. You have a primetime game on Thursday night. You know, this team just wasn't built to be able to like play like that, honestly.
Well, I don't know what it was, but in all aspects, I rewatched highlights from the game. It just did not look like a good game for the Commanders.
They
And
got beaten all 3 phases and outcoached and
I mean,
out everything.
I mean, I'll touch on this more when we do talk about Cowboys 49ers, but like, you know, when you start the first half the way you guys did, you know, going 3 and out constantly, like you're just not going to win the game. And when the other team is going down the field and scoring, like you're just not. It just is what it is.
And killing you with one player too, pretty much is what
DJ Moore had himself a game, and
he was killing it. I just put the ball up to him, and you know.
Also, we didn't shout out the 4th member of our team for that, Johnny. Shout out to Johnny.
Johnny, shout out to Johnny. He is a Bears fan too.
He is a Bears fan.
He was very happy. Yep.
He was
very so negative the whole game. I was like, Johnny, it's okay. Bro.
It was looking kind of bad for a second there, but
well, and he saw flashbacks to the week before, so it's
but
when they blew the lead.
He got to see the Bears win, and you know what? Honestly, I'm happy for him because he left with he had this childlike glee to him after the game. He was so happy and like amazed that his team he actually got to see his team win.
It was really cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. But looking also something that I didn't realize happened until they announced it, the passing of Dick Butkus. So
yeah, it didn't happen. Like we were where were we when that we were we were tailgating already? Yeah, when that news came.
Tailgating or close to going into the stadium? I think it was.
No, we were. I remember we were in the parking lot already.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, some people were telling me, some of my close friends, they were like, the ghost of Dick Butkus. So I think Bears Nation was fighting hard for a true Bears legend, and obviously
certainly seemed like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And rest in peace to Dick Butkus, obviously, because he was one of the greats in the NFL back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a monster. He put the fear of whatever you believe in into your soul when he tackled you. And there's also a great clip of him catching a touchdown too, and giving it to the defender, like giving the ball. It's really, really funny clip if you guys want to look it up and watch it. So I recommend everybody take a look at that. And it's that old school like NFL films, orchestra music and everything. And yeah, it's classic. So yeah, he was awesome.
So just going back to this game, in all aspects, the Commanders got beat, and I'm not sure how much longer Ron Rivera has in this organization. That it's just a bad loss, and I feel like a coaching change should have been made after that loss.
It should have happened earlier.
A little too soon for that, honestly. I mean, you guys are only 2-2. I think that's a little bit over exaggeration to be like, oh, they should have. I mean, you guys fought back. You guys did fight back, and it wasn't the Bears put up 2 crunch time touchdowns at the end. So it was. I mean, you guys got close. It was 27. 27 to what? It
was a 2-score game.
Yeah, it was a 2. No, I think it was 27-20 at one point, wasn't it?
I have to look. Hold on.
Let
me check.
I can't even remember because the game. I was just so mad over the game. But if we look here, it seems. Let's see this box score. I mean, the Bears outscored the Commanders 27-3 at halftime.
Yeah, at halftime it was 27-3.
And then 11 points the
27-14, so the closest they got was a 2-score game.
Okay.
No, 30-20, I guess was the closest. If they had gotten that 2-point conversion in the 4th, it would have been 30-22, and it would have been an 8-point game.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, like at least the Commanders showed some fight back, but
until late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, until late in the fourth quarter, when then the Bears were like, "All right, enough of this, let's go."
Yeah.
And DJ Moore said, "Oh, I'll take us to the promised land."
He's down there somewhere.
Well, I think Matt Eberflus saved his job
for now. We'll see how it goes this week.
For now, we'll see how it pans out. But
maybe one more week. No,
still, I mean, obviously, just what a terrible game. And the Commanders need to think long and hard about what happened, because Atlanta.
Well, they can't. That's the problem. They can't think long and hard about it. They got to get ready for the Falcons.
What I meant, let me
because they were on. They have a longer week now because they played on Thursday.
That's
they can think long and hard, but now they
long and hard
right now.
And so they can beat Atlanta, which I don't think we can do. They can do that. But
why don't you think they can do that? What does Atlanta have that Washington can't beat?
Yeah, I mean, Bijan Robinson might run all over the Commanders' defense.
Okay, but they still have Desmond Ridder at quarterback. Desmond Ritter's not good, dude. He's really not.
Well, they have a serviceable backup that might be.
He's not coming in the game, because if he hasn't come in the game yet, then he's never coming into the game.
I'm just saying. I mean, just looking at what the Commanders did last week, I'm hoping they can pull out the win.
You see, you're so doom and gloom. And trust me, I guess I kind of get it because I'm in a rough spot with the Cowboys right now. But at the same time, dude, like, okay, at least you can explain your stuff away with it was a short week. We had a long, tough physical battle with the Eagles. The team was just tired. They just couldn't get going. It was just a bad night. Okay, but we still have, we're still good enough to beat the Falcons. But you're all here, throwing another pity party like all Commanders fans freaking do whenever this team starts going south a little bit. Who did you lose to? You lost to the Bills, okay, who are one of the NFL's top teams, okay? Mm-hmm. And then you lost to the Bears, who are one of the NFL's worst teams, but looked good in the game before, completely blew it, and then just continued off of that. What's the problem here? Again, you can explain your stuff away, okay? With Dallas, you can't explain this stuff away, okay? And we're going to get to them later on in the show. But, like, chill out, Kirby. Like, my God, you frustrate me.
I totally get your frustration where it's coming from, because, like, they weren't prepared from the onset. And, like, that falls on Ron Rivera. It starts with Ron Rivera and
absolutely
too. You have to come out there in prime time. You got to be ready. You got to show that you've been, that you're ready for this game. And the Bears were hungry, man, from the start of this game. They just wanted it more than Washington, and they grabbed it with just sheer will and determination. And Washington just had no answer defensively, especially. I mean, the tackling, some of the worst tackling I've seen in defense have in quite a long time was in this game, and a lot of missed tackles in the secondary. The pass rush wasn't there. We talked about, this pass rush is, on paper, maybe not elite, but it's pretty solid in the National Football League. They didn't get much pressure on Justin Fields, and he was beating them to getting outside of the pocket too. And that's when I think Justin Fields can become a dangerous quarterback. And we've definitely seen him play better in the last few weeks. And I'm curious to see, and I've said this on this podcast last week and this last several weeks, if he can build on that performance and see if he can continue to show that he's a solid quarterback in this league, because he's faced a lot of criticism in the past, rightfully so. Some of it fair, some of it unfair, I think. But certainly interested to see how he can continue to respond and grow on that. And yeah, the Commanders, I don't know. It's just right now it's they need to show me something. And I think it starts with a bounce back win against the Falcons. I'm not going to doom and gloom about it, but certainly they've got to come out and have a much better ignition, much better start than they had in this game. It was just horrific from the start, to be honest. And to do that in front of your home crowd in prime time for everyone to see is just brutal. It's just brutal.
Like Kirby, a very wise man who you brought up during our trip once said, "Don't worry, be happy."
True.
Yeah. All right. Well, to end. Oh, jeez. So okay. Here we go. Just to wrap things up, because I really don't have much to say about the Commanders anymore, except for they lost in all aspects of the game. But this was a game on Prime Video I made my way over to the Prime Video tent, saw flipping Magic Johnson. Man, that guy's tall.
Yeah,
he was
Really
in the NBA.
he's a basketball player.
I
He's
know.
one of the greats.
I know. And
Greats.
it's funny too, because it's like just seeing how much security
Yeah, we
was-
saw the picture with the security guard
yeah,
coming up and
crazy.
telling you to stop taking
All the
pictures.
fans started swarming him, and I was oh my gosh! I recorded a video just to say I saw Magic Johnson. I was within 30 feet. Then I bolted back the other direction.
As
I
the
was
security
like,
guard
"Yep."
puts his hand up,
Yeah.
take your phone away.
And then I saw Richard Sherman, Andrew Whitworth.
This is when you left Johnny by himself. You know,
Poor Johnny was looking around like,
you left Johnny by himself.
Woo, where's
You know,
Kirby?
in enemy territory. You're a bad friend, dude.
Hey,
You're a bad wingman.
I'm
You don't leave
sorry.
your brothers in the fight alone.
that's right. He could have gotten beaten up. Who knows?
No, but I
It
thought
would
it
have
was
been your fault. It would have been your fault because you left him.
But it was pretty cool to see some iconic NFL names and an NBA superstar in attend late, obviously, because Magic Johnson's part owner of the Commanders and Thursday night. But it was really cool to see some of those names and faces up close. I'm like, wow. Because on TV, you can't really tell how big they are until you actually see them.
It's kind of true with the players too. Like you don't
Yeah.
realize how big Justin Fields is until you're like, holy
Justin
cow.
Fields is massive, dude.
He's huge. Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
like tackling a tree. It's just crazy.
I just can't. It baffles my mind that they don't use him. Use that size a lot more. But
Yeah, I agree. And you bring up Magic Johnson. That's a good end to, I think, the game is the fact that Magic Johnson came out and talked about how disappointed he was.
Thank you.
How many owners have come out and said that about, besides Jerry Jones, because he's sort of the wild card in all the situation. He has his own. Al Davis. Yeah, that's fair. Mark Davis doesn't because he's a stooge and his haircut is ridiculous. Please.
Yeah, but he's got a nice. No, I'm not gonna say that.
I know what you're referring to.
I'm not
I saw that picture as well.
I'm not gonna.
But yes. But yeah, I think
I'm sure she's a lovely woman.
it's not it's not very often you see an owner come out after a game and basically dismiss everything the team just showed on the field, which I thought was very important and something the Commanders need because God, for so long there's been no accountability, not in the conduct of the people involved with the team, but also in the losing product on the field. So I think it's important for the owner to come out and say, no, this is totally backwards. Like we have to be playing better than this. So I thought that was a good thing, and definitely should motivate the team and fire him up, because when your owner notices that and he's out there saying it publicly, you gotta step up and play better, or you can play somewhere else. That's just it.
Amen. But the Commanders fall to the Bears. I almost said Buffalo, but the Chicago Bears.
They did fall to Buffalo.
Yeah, they did.
Very
did
much
that
so.
Too. They did that too. But I think it was a successful trip, and
It was a good trip. Good trip,
and
boy.
as always, really enjoy you all's company, and it was a lot of fun.
Don't worry about
a thing.
'cause every little thing is gonna be all right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But we will get to a lot more here on episode 187 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Coming up next, before we breeze through the league, we'll touch on our football teams in terms of the rest of us, since we already discussed ours. So that's coming up next. Stick right here with us. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barn wood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Welcoming you back to the Kirby on Sports podcast, episode 187. We have Carlos, the Swiss Army Knife Martinez, on his birthday, and the weapon, Dan Dembski. It's now time to touch on the rest of our teams, as it was a pretty rough week, except for the Kansas City Chiefs. Who wants to go first?
I said we go with Dan first.
Yeah.
Where to start here? Oh man. So yeah, this game, this matchup we talked about last week on the podcast. We all picked the Baltimore Ravens, I believe, if I remember the graphic correctly, to win this game. And I think all of us had a feeling that this is where the Ravens kind of flex their muscles a little bit. They kind of come out and show what they have. And this is where they start to turn the corner and separate themselves in the AFC North. Well, turned out they decided after the second quarter, we are not going to show up. And as a matter of fact, it all started at the end of the first half when John Harbaugh elects to go for it on 4th and 2 when you have the greatest kicker in the NFL. You could argue NFL history, but he's the best kicker in the NFL. You're going to keep him on the sidelines instead of taking the pretty much sure 3 points. You're going to try to go for it with, by the way, a horrendous play call. I mean, what the hell are you doing? You're rolling out to one side, the short side of the field, and having Lamar Jackson throw to one receiver. It's just idiotic. So that's my first problem. My second problem is how you keep putting the defense in with their back against the wall, turning the football over, fumbling the ball. Lamar, I think, had 2 turnovers, a pick and a fumble. The fumble was a strip sack, so at that one I don't blame him as much for. The interception was just a bad throw into the end zone. It was a lollipop pass. I don't know why he was doing that. I also don't know why they're calling a pass play in that situation anyway when they have good running backs. But again, I don't know anything. I'm a stooge watching on my couch. I don't pretend to be an offensive coordinator. So why the Ravens have insisted let's abandon the run, which they have lost games doing the same thing in the past 2 or 3 seasons, it baffles my mind, and it continues to baffle my mind. Different offensive coordinator, but pretty much the same results, where you have no energy, no rhythm on offense, and
my God, that's Greg Roman's music.
It really is. It really is. It was supposed to be different. It was supposed to be different with Todd Monken, but it really hasn't been. And that Pittsburgh, you're playing in Pittsburgh. It's normally a hostile crowd, but that game was the fans were restless and booing. It was a perfect game for the Ravens to just come out and whoop the Steelers. And defensively, they pretty much did. I mean, they pretty much kept him in check for 95% of the game, minus that final touchdown pass, which, again, the defense had to be worn out. I mean, they were on the field for so much of this game. It's ridiculous. I've heard people play the blame game after this. I really think it starts with John Harbaugh, similarly to Ron Rivera with the Commanders, obviously, when your team comes out ill-prepared. The Ravens, they didn't have energy in this game. They started this game where it looked like, okay, they're going to get in a rhythm here. They're going to run up the score. They're going to do what they have to do and take care of business, but they just didn't after those first couple drives. So that starts with John Harbaugh. And then, of course, the decision, like I mentioned at the top of this, to go forward on 4th and 2 when you have the best kicker in the league standing there on the sidelines. You have to kick the field goal in that situation. How many times have we seen coaches across the league go for fourth down and 2 or 3 and fail and leave points on the board? I mean, Brandon Staley is probably the finest example of this, of a guy who just goes for 4th downs all the time. If it's 4th and 5, 4th and 6, 4th and 7, doesn't matter. He's going to go for it. But John Harbaugh has been sort of caught in that the last 2 or 3 seasons, and it's costed the Ravens games. It similarly costed them in the Colts game as well. So now, instead of being in a position where you're pretty much sitting alone atop the AFC North, you're 4-1. You've separated yourself. Really, I mean, the Bengals won on Sunday, so they would have pulled within a game of you. But you're sitting alone right now. I think the Browns were on a bye week, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, here you are now. You're not in first place. All of a sudden, the Steelers own the tiebreaker. Now that hopefully will change when they play again in Baltimore later in the season. But it's just maddening to me. Everything that could go wrong in this game went wrong, and you got to give the Steelers credit on their side, because although they played a pretty terrible game for most of this,
they put it together at the end.
They had the final touchdown at the end to put the nail in the coffin. So that was a nuts 41-yard touchdown pass to Pickens, who killed the Ravens pretty much all game. He was the only player on the Steelers offense that did. So I'm brutally angry about this game. I hope it fires them up. I know it's early-ish in the season. We're still in the earlier part of the year. But that's a game you just can't lose, man. You can't come out playing that way. If it comes down to the end and it's a shootout and you give up a field goal or whatever to lose, okay, I'm much more fine with it. But this is a Steelers team that was tumbling down the steps per se. And, all the Ravens had to do was come in here and just score one more touchdown and they would have this game. But no, they made too many mental mistakes, too many turnovers. And overall, they just played brutally bad. Also, they were 0 for 2 on 4th down. So they missed 2 4th down conversions. I think the second 4th down was at the end of the game. So that's kind of a moot point. Let me see. I'm trying to look at both teams turned the ball over twice. Of course, the interception and the fumble. But it's just like I keep waiting for this team to clean stuff up, to start to get in sync on offense, for the Todd Monken offense to start to see some of these players like Zay Flowers who drop passes and Rashad Bateman who drop passes. I think Mark Andrews dropped a pass. They had 8 drops in this game. That's inexcusable. And 2 of those were touchdowns. So I know I blame just about everybody else, but how about blame the receivers for not doing your job and catching the football?
I was about to say that. I mean, just not catching the football. Like, I'm looking at some of the replays, including one you quoted. I don't know if you want to talk about that one, but I mean, it's right there, and they're not hauling it in.
Yeah, literally right in the hands. And I think the one touchdown to, or the one long pass to Zay Flowers, he falls down. I'm like, really? Like,
yeah.
No one else seemed to have a problem with footing on the field on Sunday except for him. So maybe you get the right cleats on if you got the wrong spikes. But yeah, it's just inexcusable at this point in the season to have drop passes. And I'm sick of Rashad Bateman. The guy, we drafted him high. He hasn't panned out. He's been hurt. It's time to let him go. It's time to go a different direction. And
because he wouldn't speak to the media.
Well, that too. That's annoying too. And the fact that he deactivated his Twitter as well. He did reach out, I think, to someone at the Baltimore Sun or the Athletic or something, and said he pretty much blamed himself for the loss type thing, which is good. He stepped up and showed some accountability. So I can't hate on him too much for that aspect of it. Later, obviously, when you're pissed off at the time, you say things you're like, "Oh, I hope he gets released tomorrow." But it's just it gets to a point where you just you can't have these mistakes in games, period. But especially if this is supposed to be a playoff team, and we've seen the AFC's been kind of wacky this year. There really is no dominant team. Like Kansas City is still Kansas City. We know that, but they've shown, they've taken a step back as well. Buffalo, you just don't know week to week. We're going to talk about that game, I'm sure, in our breeze around the league. We had a feeling they could have a slip up on Sunday, and they did. So, this is finally a chance for the Ravens to cement themselves in the AFC, but I'm just not ready to claim that yet. I think they got a lot of stuff to fix, and it's a lot of simple mistakes, but they come back to haunt you, man. You have 7-8 drops in a game. It's just killer. And again, 2 of those for touchdowns. I'm getting all worked up, but it's extremely frustrating. And the defense played their ass off. I felt like they did everything they could in this game to stop Pittsburgh until that last touchdown. But they were exhausted. There's no question about it. And I just want some accountability on John Harbaugh's, point too. Like his comment about the 4th down was basically, well, we felt we could get it. I'm like, dude, again, you have Justin Tucker. Can you please just use your brain? Like, I know analytics we've talked about this before. I know that they've become a part of the NFL, but you have to use some combination of both analytics and just old school football knowledge and thought. And I feel like a lot of coaches have fallen victim to relying too much on the analytics. And although I think John Harbaugh generally doesn't use it as much as other coaches, I still think when, you point to some of those games, especially the Colts game and this game this year, like that's you just can't have that. This team should be 5-0. There's no question about it. In a perfect world, they would be 5-0, but the world's not perfect, and that's why, that's what makes it the world. So, and I'll say about Lamar Jackson's performance, I mean, he just had no help in this game at all. When you have that many drop passes, I felt like
week 1 with the Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes week 1. We talked about that a lot. So they just you gotta do the simple things well. The Ravens aren't even at that point yet. You can't even start thinking about, diving deep into the playbook with this offense until you get the basics done. And they just haven't done that. They haven't taken care of the football, and I'm just frustrated. They need to run the football too. I know I talked about that at the top of this rant I've been on. But Gus Edwards, I mean, he rips off 4.5 yards, 5 yards a carry sometimes. You got to get him the ball. And work some of these other guys into the offense and try to, run some reverses with Zay Flowers, do something different. Like, I don't know. I just feel like they're at a point now where something's got to give. And the schedule gets tough, and they got to go to London this week. I'm not happy about that because the last time they played in London, they got absolutely demolished by the Jags. I think it was like 2015.
Yeah, but this time you're not playing the London team. You're playing a team that's not used to being in London, so you should be fine.
That's true. Yeah, Tennessee doesn't.
It's not like Tennessee's playing any better.
True. But yeah, that's the end of my rant. I think I've covered everything I want to. Yeah, I'm just right now I'm at a point where I'm extremely frustrated because I know how good this team can be and what the potential is for this team to become one of those top tier AFC teams, but they just don't, they can't catch the football.
Seems to be the theme, man. Just wait until I talk about the Cowboys.
Yep. So that's all I got. I hope they can turn it around. That's all I got to say. And their offensive line is a mess still, even with getting Ronnie Stanley back. I'm surprised he's not hurt again, but that's kind of mean. But yeah, they need to protect better, and I think they've had to shuffle some more guys around. So that's another big priority too. You got to get healthy at the offensive line position, and this musical chair is not going to work. You're going to have guys in there that are inexperienced, and you're going to get your quarterback killed. Your multi-million-dollar quarterback killed. So gotta protect him.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head on everything there, as the Ravens fall to the Steelers. Obviously, I feel your frustration, Dan, and I actually did. I was thinking after that touchdown pass, I'm like, how can they let that happen and whatnot? And obviously, anger afterwards, but I really did feel your pain. So
Appreciate that.
hopefully they just bounce back, because as soon as I saw that touchdown pass, I was like, Dan's probably face is getting red, steam coming out of his
Just
ears.
like right now, my face and neck are. I'm angry. So talking about this, and then also the Orioles lost the later that night. So
bad day for Baltimore
bad day.
sports.
Just a bad day.
My absolutely. But we'll get to Carlos and his teams in just a second. We just have to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Hey, sports fans. Thank you for listening to and supporting the Kirby on Sports podcast with founder and host Josh Kirby, along with lead contributor Dan Dembski. Like, subscribe, and give them a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast from. My name is Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation. Our company helps leaders build engaged and productive teams. Exclusively for listeners of the Kirby on Sports podcast, you can take an opportunity to discover your primary communication style and learn more about effective communication with others. Text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free copy of the Working From Home Communication Assessment, where you'll learn your primary communication style, how to better communicate with others not like you, and tips on working remotely based on your personal communication style. 10 minutes, tons of resources. Learn about yourself and your team. Again, text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free assessment report today. I'm Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, where we help you and your team be more engaged and productive by understanding each other better. Back to you, Josh.
Hey, Kirby on Sports podcast listeners, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate here. You know, it may seem scary or daunting at first to think about buying or selling a home. Well, look no further. Give me a call, 540-247-1527. There's nothing more than I love to do than help my friends make those transactions fun, interesting, and at the end of the day, productive. Look me up online, iconsales.com, and even better, find me on my podcast, Iconic Talk, with my co-host Megan Eanes. On any podcast platform, we will share all the local news about real estate markets and our local community. It's educational. Look us up. We'd love to help you. Iconsales.com, 540-247-1527. Josh, back to you.
So thank you again to all of our lovely sponsors. Back with you, episode 187. Getting back to our teams and how they did. Carlos, 1 win for the Chiefs, 1 loss for the Cowboys. I assume you want to talk about the Chiefs first, but if I can just add just the fact that I would have imagined this game against the Chiefs and Vikings would have been more one-sided, but the Vikings sort of made it a game, but I was very surprised about that.
I mean, I'm not. I mean, it's not like the Chiefs have been blowing out teams left and right. You know, the only team we've blown out has been the Chicago Bears. That's it. Other than that, they've all been relatively close games. It was, I mean, it's not a game I was necessarily happy with in terms of how the Chiefs look, but the one thing you can always count on is Patrick Mahomes getting the job done. I never question that, and it's not to say he always gets it done. He's costed his team some games, trying to play hero ball every now and again. One game I vividly remember is the Bills game, I think last year, where he threw the pick at the end. And so, it's not as if he always delivers, but he's got a pretty good track record of delivering. So I never really had any fears about them losing this game because he's one of those quarterbacks that will his team to win. But I don't know, man. It just kind of sometimes seems like, obviously, Dan kind of said it at the top that they've definitely taken a step back. I don't think that it's necessarily because say they lost Juju Smith-Schuster. I've seen a lot of that the reason why is because they don't have like a number one guy like Juju, but you see how Juju looks on the Patriots. He doesn't look good. So I think that the Chiefs might have gotten away with that. I think it's more of these are young receivers that just need time to develop and need to build chemistry with Patrick Mahomes. And they also need to get open. That's the problem. Nobody's getting open. And that's why we're relying so heavily on Travis Kelce, who obviously had that injury scare where the announcers just completely blew that like out of proportion. I was not worried about it. I didn't think that he hurt it seriously. I figured he probably I was like, it looks like he just twisted his ankles, but they made it seem like, oh my God, he might have torn his Achilles or something. Yeah. And this is going to be terrible. It's just like, they need to relax and wait. Like announcers need to stop doing this. And everybody on social media needs to stop doing this because I kept seeing those tweets too of, oh man, this doesn't look good for Kelce. It's just like, hey, how about we wait until we get an actual diagnosis on what's wrong before we start thinking worst case scenario in our heads? Because clearly he was fine. He came back. He didn't come immediately back into the game in the second half. He missed that whole first drive. But then he did eventually come back into the game, finish the game out, scored a touchdown, looked fantastic. I didn't see anything really wrong, and it turns out it's not even a high ankle sprain. It's a low ankle sprain. So he should be fine. Whether he plays this week or not, given that it's a short week since they play Thursday night, I don't know. I guess we'll see. Depends on how that ankle is doing. But, all in all, everybody's got to take a chill pill when it comes to injuries. There are some injuries where it's clear, like crystal clear, like, yeah, something bad happened here. Mm-hmm. But there are injuries like that where like I was like, why are we freaking out here? Like he'll be okay. Also, halftime is like 2 minutes away. Like let's chill. But yeah, man, there were some some positives. Justin Ross made some good catches. He's a guy that I've been a fan of because he played at Clemson, and when he played with Trevor Lawrence. So that was when I was really like watching Clemson because I really like watching Trevor Lawrence play. And Justin Ross was like one of his best receivers there. And unfortunately, he's just taking some time to develop. And hopefully he can start getting some more snaps and start, just being more involved in this offense and becoming a bigger impact because I think this kid is super talented. Rashid Rice is really good. I think that's his name, Rashid Rice. Yeah. Or I don't know. Yeah. He's gonna be a good receiver. The receiver I'm most disappointed in. Oh, Kadarius Toney actually had a couple good catches as well.
Yeah,
but the receiver I'm most disappointed in thus far has been Sky Moore. He was supposed to make a big leap this season, and he's just not panning out. He's just not working out well. He can't seem to get open. He can't seem to make any real catches. His first touchdown was in the Super Bowl for crying out loud. Mm-hmm. But all in all, this was a close game. Sometimes it kind of feels like the Chiefs are kind of bored. Sometimes kind of like how the Patriots used to be many moons ago, where they would like kind of play with their food a little bit and then finish it off at the end. Sometimes it kind of feels like that, but at the same time, it's not as if, again, this Vikings team isn't talented. They are very talented, but it's just they just aren't winning these close games anymore. Not like they were last year. Now they've lost. Yeah. I think all their losses have been one-score losses.
Yep.
So I didn't think it was going to be a blowout. I didn't think it was. I thought it was going to be maybe not a suit like as in their neck and neck, but I thought the Vikings were going to be within range. Especially when you got super talented players like Justin Jefferson on that team who, obviously is going to be on IR and out for the next 4 weeks.
For sure. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, and the Chiefs defense looked good. Chris Jones is looking a little tired out there. I think his conditioning isn't great right now, considering he missed all of training camp. So I think he's kind of hitting a wall a little bit because he started off kind of hot and fast. And I think he's hitting that a little bit of a wall. So I expect he'll be okay. I imagine, it's just he's kind of getting into football shape right now. I mean, he claims he was in shape, but football shape, in shape, two totally different things.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, there's not. I don't want to harp too much on the Chiefs here, because I'm gonna probably go on a long rant here about the Cowboys in a second, but I was pretty happy with that. With that, the fact that they won. And now it's on to Thursday night against Denver, in which they should easily win this game, but sometimes divisional games are weird, and considering the last two games that they've played against the Broncos, they've been relatively close. So we'll see how Thursday night goes, but another Chiefs win, baby.
It was really disappointing in this game that Taylor Swift.
I knew it. I knew it was coming.
Stop, dude. Enough. You did it. You didn't have to do it. You really didn't have to do it. And I knew you were going to do it because you're so predictable. But you didn't have to do it. We did it. It was fine the first week. Last week she was at the game. She wasn't at the game this week. We didn't have to bring it up.
Yeah. Did your sources know where she was, Carlos?
Kirby, shut up. Enough. We're moving on. We don't have time for this gimmick.
All right. Do you want to go straight in, or should we hit a commercial break so you can gather your thoughts, Carlos?
I don't know. It's up to you. You're the host.
Let's get a commercial break in, and then Carlos will talk about the Dallas Cowboys' loss over the 49ers.
Bedbugs. The only thing creepier than thinking about them is actually having them. Trust me, you don't want to have them. Locally owned and operated Barrett Pest and Termite Services can keep you from having bedbug nightmares and infestations. Call 540-340-3922 to schedule your free inspection and consultation. If bedbugs are already in your home, we'll get rid of them so you can rest easy. We also specialize in keeping homes and businesses free of other pests, including rodents and termites. That's Barrett Pest and Termite Services, 540-340-3922.
All right, it's now time for Carlos's second team, the Dallas Cowboys, on Sunday night, traveling to the Bay Area and falling to the San Francisco 49ers. Carlos, I'm just going to give it to you. Your thoughts, your analysis, your reaction.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very demoralizing loss in the sense of this was the game that the Cowboys were telling us was like the measuring stick game, that these other four games prior to this aren't the game that you guys should be judging us on. It should be against the 49ers. Dak Prescott in his, in the press conference after, they beat give Bill Belichick his worst loss. He gets asked that question about how he felt after the playoff loss last season. And, he's, saying, thank you for pissing me off. This whole leading up to this game, it was all about, we're going to get our get back. We want this. This is personal, hyping this game up and making it feel important. And then they come out and get completely overwhelmed. They look completely unprepared and just outclassed, outmuscled everything on the board. That was a proper butt kicking by the 49ers to the Dallas Cowboys. And it has really demoralized this fan base in a way that I have not seen this is a different level of demoralized, because now it's going to be a case of, even if Dallas wins their next 4 games in a row, right? Even if they make it to the playoffs, there's still going to be the thing of, okay, well, guess what? You still can't beat the 49ers. And we're probably going to have to, and should this team make the playoffs, they're going to have to go through the 49ers at some point. At some point they will, unless, they get lucky and some other team knocks them off. But right now, this season's on a knife's edge at this point with the Dallas Cowboys. This is either going to go, it's either they're going to use this in a way that's going to motivate them and be like, well, all right, now everybody's got to get there. From here on out, every team is on our hit list. And when we come across this team again, like we're gonna, you know, like we're gonna get our come up, you know, like next time, like we're not even gonna talk next time. Like next time we're just gonna show it on the field. We're gonna show it on the field from here on out. That's kind of the mindset they need to kind of take, in my opinion, or it's gonna go like this is gonna completely derail the season in a way that they're like only gonna win like maybe 9 games and then go 9-8. You know, I don't know which way this is gonna go. I'm hoping that they use the other mindset, but we'll see. But yeah, this was just a really, I mean, this game alone I have been a very avid Dak defender. I love Dak Prescott. I think everything he does off the football field is great when it comes to mental health and all that stuff.
Absolutely. I agree too.
That's really
cool. You know, I've enjoyed watching Dak Prescott play through the years, but this game is starting to shift my mentality on him, and it's starting to become really hard to defend him. And I'm starting to now question whether he is going to be the guy to ever bring a Lombardi back to Dallas. I mean, we're 8 seasons in, man, and he's playing the worst football I've seen him play ever. I mean, when you go back and you look at, you know, like breakdowns of like what San Francisco's defense was doing in this game, it was basic coverages, like things that every quarterback should be able to see. They weren't doing anything fancy. They were just running cover 1, cover 2. They weren't doing anything crazy. And obviously I'm not putting the whole blame on this game on Dak Prescott. I think the whole team played terrible. They all came out flat. You know, the defense, at least, you know, in the first half was, you know, holding San Francisco back for as long as they could, but the offense was again letting them down and not coming out and performing, and they could only do so much before eventually that 49ers offense, you know, took over. And I blame Mike McCarthy's play calling, and I have a bunch of gripes with him in this game. His play calling was really bad. I mean, when you go the first, I think it was that whole first quarter was just 3 and out, fumble, 3 and out. Like, you're not going to win when they're going down and scoring. And then the defense was even holding them back every now and again. They got a fumble recovery back, you know, from Christian McCaffrey. But man, Dak Prescott, like, how can you not read those defenses? Like, those were basic coverages, and he could not read them. And to then have 3 straight possessions in a row where you throw a pick, unacceptable.
brutal.
This game up. You said it yourself. The last 2 times we played this team, I did not perform well. And you performed worse. Like, you performed so much worse. We only had 2 good drives, which were the 2 drives that we scored on. But man, the thing that made me mad the most was at the end of the first half. It's 21-7. We need something because we get the ball back, you know, in the second half. We need to score a touchdown or a field goal on this. There's 50 seconds left. Like, we have 2 timeouts.
Yeah.
Go down the field. First play was a botched route that completely didn't work out. Okay, fine, whatever. Second play, Dak Prescott takes a sack, which you cannot take a sack in that situation. Yep. Throw the ball away.
Yep.
And then there's still 25 seconds left on the clock. We have 2 timeouts. No, let's just go. Screw it. We're going to the locker room. Halftime. What are we doing? You guys gave up.
That's basically when the game is over.
That's unacceptable.
Yep.
That is unacceptable. This 49ers team is so good that, like, you could not put yourselves in that position. I mean, Brock Purdy is playing in God mode right now. He was awesome. And the fact that we had some stops. We held them back and gave the offense, you know, possessions to try to get back in this game. And they didn't do anything. Like, yeah, we're going to get our butts kicked at that point then because we're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, then we come out, we come out after halftime. We come out in the start of the second half, drive down the field. On a 3rd and 4, we'd run a draw play from the shotgun. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing here?
That's the Ravens specialty too.
It was absolutely bananas to see that. And then Don't go for it. Like, at that point, we're down 21-7. This is 4 down territory, boys. Like, because we're not stopping this team very well. Right now, their playmakers are making plays and our playmakers are not. So we need to go for broke here. And what does he do? Kicks a field goal. And that's it. That's the end of our scoring. They go on to score 3 more touchdowns. And like, it was just, this team this team now looks like that they're the bully and they can beat up on these lesser teams. But then once they step up to a real one, they get
easy.
They fold real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And you could kind of, explain the Arizona loss away. Oh, they were missing 3 linemen. They just, they overlooked their opponent, but they didn't overlook the 49ers here.
No,
because again, they were hyping this game up.
This was
and this is the first time since 2021 that they had all 5 projected starters on the line actually play in this game, and they got completely dominated. It was, Tony Pollard got nothing going. CeeDee Lamb got nothing going. Like, the only player that did something great was, Turpin, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
So there's only 2 bright spots in this game, honestly, which was, Brendan Aubrey, our kicker. He is fantastic. He has, he only missed his first kick, opening night of the season. And then since then, he has made every single kick since. And they've been like right down the middle. They've been perfect. He's been incredible. And then Deron Bland, who's obviously taken over for Diggs, who, even if Diggs was, healthy and played in this game,
I don't know.
I don't even know how well we still would have done against this team. But Diggs, I'm sorry, Bland, he did a very good job in coverage and has done a good job of stepping in for Diggs. But aside from that, man, like, Micah was a non-factor in this game. They did a great job of neutralizing him, and the rest of this defense just, they tried as much. And like, Jaron Curse has had an awful start to the season. I mean, that offsides penalty, that can't happen. I literally saw it when that play happened. I was literally screaming at the top of my lungs, "Back up, Curse! You're like, back up!" And as soon as it snapped, I saw the flag. I was like, "God damn it!" And it was just, he had a rough game.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's just, it's hard for me to see a rematch between these 2 teams going different in terms of us being able to overcome them, because like, the Dallas was pretty healthy coming into this game. Like, we only had 2 injuries, which is obviously the Diggs injury and somebody else. But we had everybody else on this team playing, and we got completely outclassed in a way that I have never seen them get outclassed before. And there's a lot of questions that are going to be answered. Obviously, we got the Chargers. We got a tough game against the Chargers coming up, but I think they can beat the Chargers. I mean, I thought they could beat the 49ers too, but that was going to be tough, a tougher game. But this was just, like, the fan base is very demoralized. It feels like every Cowboys show I listen to, it's depression, basically, because we don't know how to feel now. Because I think the only thing that will make this team feel like this fan base feel a little better is if we beat Philly twice.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I don't really see, like, there'll always be this asterisk of, okay, but guess what? The 49ers are your daddy. They own you. Like, so until they can actually beat the 49ers and we see them beat the 49ers, it'll just be hard to really have a good feeling about this season. And it just sucks because it looked like they had made the moves with Brendan Cooks coming in and, trading for, Gilmore. And it just looks like the gap just got so much wider between these teams. Mm-hmm. And obviously that also stems from the fact that the Cowboys weren't executing very well on offense. And, 3 and outs, and just not finishing drives off at all. But at the same time, it's just, man, like, it felt like the 49ers had like 15 players on the field at all time on both sides of the ball. Like, it always felt like somebody was open with on offense, and on defense, somebody was always right there to make the play. Like, it felt like it just, and then you would see Dallas's defense, like there's all this open space everywhere. And you're just like, are there extra players on the field? This was a rough one to watch. I stopped watching in by the fourth quarter. I was done. I took my Dak Prescott jersey off. I threw it in my room, and I still haven't picked it up yet. It's still on the floor. I'm going through it with this team right now, and it just sucks because the season did start off great, and we thought, hey, maybe we can actually do it this year. It looks like our defense is special. Our offense, it needs a little more time to work some kinks out, but this West Coast, Texas Coast offense that Mike McCarthy's running is not going to do it, man. And they got to make some changes here. I think they got to blend Mike McCarthy's philosophy in with Kellen Moore's old philosophy, because just isn't working with just this West Coast quick pass offense thing. It's just not. Like, Dak Prescott's not a pocket passer. He's just not.
We don't have the personnel either.
His strength is when his strengths are when he can, get the play action going, and that's when he's the best. I mean, honestly, Dak Prescott we've seen how good Dak Prescott can be, but the last time he was truly great was that New England game in 2021. That was the last time. Since then, it's been stop and go. I mean, there was the Tampa Bay playoff game last season where he looked really good, and that's what I wish I would see more, man. Like, Dak Prescott needs to take over games. He needs to be more like Patrick Mahomes, where Patrick Mahomes will take over a game and he'll will his team to win. We need Dak Prescott to be the guy. But we're 8 seasons in on this guy, and we're still waiting for him to do it. I don't know if it's going to happen. So, I mean, I'll end it with this. It might be time for Dallas to start considering looking towards the future and maybe start scouting whether it be Trey Lance is the future, or maybe they need to start sending the scouting department to look at high draft pick quarterbacks, because I don't know if this guy has it in him. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, tough loss. That was a tough one to take, because obviously just we as a fan base wanted that one so bad, but obviously we just got to brush it off and hope that this team gets right for the Chargers on Monday night.
You mean shake it off? Oh, sorry.
Well, my only thing about this game is, why is Tony Pollard only getting 29 yards?
Tony Pollard wasn't doing anything.
I mean, that O-line...
They had to pass because they were behind from the start. That's why.
I mean, that O-line needs to give him some space, some opening so he can run through, because he's a darn good running back, and I was very surprised. But I didn't see the whole game, but I saw the first half and part of the third quarter. But I'm like, Tony Pollard, you need to get him more involved.
It wasn't that they weren't getting him involved. It's just he wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, and the crazy part is they had less than 200 total yards, too, which is just unheard of in this day and age in the NFL. So, got to credit the 49ers defense, too. That's
the thing, man. That defense was outstanding, man. That 49ers defense is on. I mean, it feels like the 49ers are just good at every position. And they're the team to Randy Gregory, so like they're boosting up their team. And that's something I wish Dallas would do more, man. Like, I wish they would just collect assets. Stop being like the 49ers never stop collecting assets. The Philadelphia Eagles never stop collecting assets. If there's a trade to be made for a low round pick, they don't care. They'll go
do it.
There's players out there to get. And
it's all about depth.
Dallas never makes that type of move. Yeah. And it gets frustrating because then it feels like we're shorthanded, and then these guys have everybody. Like, it shouldn't feel like that. It shouldn't feel like the 49ers are good at every position, but they truly are.
They are loaded. They're loaded to the gills. And they're the team to beat this year in the National Football League.
They're the Super Bowl favorites by far. I have no idea.
No other
Philly's literally the only team that can maybe match up with them. But even I'm having a hard time thinking that they're going to win that game.
Yeah, agreed with you there. They're just crazy good. And Brock Purdy, for a guy who was Mr. Irrelevant, I mean,
he's in God mode.
He's in God mode. His decisiveness in the pocket is so impressive for a guy who's taken with the last pick in the draft, and he just delivers. Boom, 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 boom. He doesn't miss. He really doesn't.
He doesn't make any bad decisions.
It's crazy.
Every pass is just like perfect. It's right there.
Quick reads.
Like that boy's playing out of his mind right now.
Agreed. And he's special.
Yeah.
Right now. You never know, but I just he's been a surprise to say the least. I think most people are surprised when they've seen him this year.
So we have discussed all of our teams. After this break, we'll get to our final second, the Breeze and the Kirby on Sports PickEm. Stay right here with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Mark Peter Lynch with Guild Mortgage. One of the greatest joys in doing business over the last 30 years in the Shenandoah Valley is helping people buy their first home. Buying their first home and putting the keys in their hand at the closing table has brought me so much joy. If you want to buy your first home, a second home, or an investment property, or build wealth through investment in real estate, give me a call. My phone number is 540-664-4700, or you can find me on the World Wide Web at www.marksmortgage.com.
It's Matt from Shenandoah Music. Nobody wants to hear this, but Christmas is just around the corner. You could wait to start shopping while everything sells out, or you could come into Shenandoah Music for our pre-Black Friday sale. From October 26th through the 31st, we're taking 20% off Fender American Pro guitars, 10% off Ibanez hollow body electric guitars, 30% off student band instruments, and more. And use the Shenandoah Music credit card to buy now and pay later. So when you think music, think Shenandoah Music in Winchester across from V-Dubs.
Welcome back. It is time for the Breeze around the league and then to wrap things up with the Kirby on Sports PickEm. Going in order, the Jags beating the Bills in London. I will credit this game to say the Bills, I think the travel time just got to them. I think this is a one-off and they'll be back to normal next week.
I don't know, man. They've been a pretty hot and cold team. I think this was more of just, the Jags were in London longer.
They stayed. Yeah.
And I think that's an unfair advantage for
I agree.
Like that was a very unfair advantage for the Jags to be able to spend 2 weeks and then have this Bills team have to fly in, I don't think that's fair at all.
No, I agree with Carlos, but even still, he made a great point. It's like this is what the Bills do, right? They're an up and down team. They lose to teams they shouldn't, but yeah, the Jags definitely had a big advantage in this game, but I don't know if Buffalo is good as they've been in the past. I haven't seen them have that moment yet where I'm like, yeah, they're a top 2 team.
I mean, again, you do have to factor in travel into this game for sure. I mean, it's just gonna affect them. So I'm not ready to say any of that yet. I think let's wait and see how their next 2-3 games go before we start making the assumption that they're bad or good or they're.
Well,
not.
I never said
I did say bad. I meant to say whether they're not as good as they have been previously or not.
Sure, makes sense.
Yeah, I think they need to revisit the London situation and get a good measure in place, so it's not like one team is unfair.
Jags just moved there. I mean, do they even have fans in Jacksonville?
I don't.
They don't want to pay for a new stadium, so they just might move to London.
I can see it.
I don't blame them.
All right, moving on. What a close game. The Falcons defeating the Texans 21-19. And a note, CJ Stroud, up until this point of the season, has not thrown an interception.
Yeah, CJ Stroud is great. He's good.
Very good.
I have nothing really to say about this game, honestly.
This Houston team is very, very good. They look good. Still pretty young, but I think they're trending in the right direction.
Inexperienced and young, yes, but they definitely have some pieces there. Now, can they keep those pieces is going to be the question. Can they build around them? It's hard to do, and Houston has struggled to do that in the past, so we'll see.
The Lions over the Panthers 42-24. The Lions keep it going.
The Lions seem like they're for real.
They
4-1.
prove it every week. They prove it every week.
They could win a playoff game this year. I think they can win a playoff game. I think they're going to host one, and because it looks for sure they're the best team in the North. I think they're going to host a game, and they're going to win a playoff game.
That would be very, very cool.
That's a good prediction. It's not even a bold prediction, I don't think, right now.
No.
The Colts defeating the Titans 23-16. Anthony Richardson out again with an injury.
He's got 3 injuries already. Like, what is going on with this? He's trying too hard, man. He's trying too hard, and they need to. I think he's probably going to be
protect him.
Weeks, but like they got to protect him, because we already saw what happened with one Colts quarterback when you don't protect him, and he retired all of a sudden. So,
Captain Andrew Luck. Yeah.
Here's
I
one.
got nothing to add. Yeah.
Here's one. The New York Football Giants fall once again to 1-4. This is an absolutely atrocious football team in the New York
who
Giants.
did they fall to, and what was the score?
The Miami Dolphins 31-16.
At least they scored some points in this game. It
was defensive points.
Evan Neal is the worst lineman I've ever seen. Like, I've been seeing nothing but clips of him just like completely. And for him to then go out last week and make that comment about fans is insane. You're playing like I'm not. I've already heard legendary rants about this. Pat McAfee played a whole clip of New York sports.
I saw that. I saw the clip. Yeah.
It was
from WFAN.
Awesome.
Yeah, that guy was.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
and rightfully deserved, because Evan Neal, don't talk trash when you can't even do your job right. You have one job, and you've been very poor at it. And honestly, he's a bust. But yeah, man, Daniel Jones hurt. Dude, Sunday Night Football next week is gonna be terrible because it'll be Tyrod Taylor and those awful Giants against. Who's playing? Who are they playing?
It better be Tyrod, because Tyrod deserves
Kirby,
this week.
It's not as if Tyrod Taylor's like this great, awesome quarterback that is,
he's never proven it when he's gotten the chance. So
I mean, because somebody poked him in the rib over there in Los Angeles.
Justin Herbert was going to take that job anyways. Stop this. Stop this.
I'm a
VT
guy. Stop trying to make it. Come on, let's not be ridiculous here.
Like sometimes you try too hard to be a VT guy more than the actual VT guy. Like, stop. You root so hard for Tyrod Taylor, and I don't know why. The dude has shown nothing in the league, even when he has had a real chance.
It's true.
Like, what has he done?
He had a chance for the Browns. He had a chance for the Bills. He's had chances for several teams. He's never proven it.
It better be Tyrod Taylor, or else what? What are you going to do, Kirby?
I'm going to riot. It said Kirby.
He's going to be the one fan standing outside the stadium. Let Tyrod play. And nobody's going to care.
Well,
who's this guy?
Besides that,
Miami, good win for them to get back.
They needed that one.
The rookie running back got hurt, though. He got a knee injury, so he's going to be out for a couple of weeks.
Devon. Is it that guy?
Yeah, the rookie running back. Yeah, the one who's super fast.
I
can't remember his name. Yeah.
Atchin.
But Daniel Jones sacked 6 times.
He sucks.
In fairness, he's got no protection and he's got no receivers. Like, what is he supposed to do?
That is fair.
Saquon isn't playing. Trust me, like, I'm not like a big Daniel Jones guy. Like, I don't think he's that. I think he's a mid quarterback, but like, I also don't. I don't like this narrative that's building that like it's all on him. It's his fault. The Giants have supplied him no receivers. Saquon is hurt again. And their offensive line is terrible. So like, what do you expect here? Like, this team is not going to play good.
I think you make a good point.
The Saints defeating the Patriots 34-0.
Is Bill Belichick?
Can he retire yet?
Is he on the hot seat?
Oh God, yeah. Oh God.
Do you think that if they?
I don't think Kraft fires him midway through the season.
He's no. They're not.
No, I think if anything, they'll frame it.
Wait,
They'll frame it as Bill Belichick is leaving.
Yeah,
not that he got fired.
No.
They mutually parted ways.
And then Belichick will be put in the Ring of Honor immediately after.
Well, yeah, of course he should be.
Yeah, I mean, he's the greatest coach of all time. I mean, he's just not the best coach right now. Like,
I don't care what coach in the Hall of Fame you put with this Patriots team, they'd all suck. I mean, there's just nothing to work with. And Mac Jones is he's horrendous. He's horrendous.
Yeah, Mac Jones is really bad. Like, I don't think he's the answer at all. And
He is the worst quarterback in the league, starting quarterback in the league.
I don't know. I mean,
I'd say he's
he's definitely in the bottom tier for sure, but I'm pretty sure we could name another quarterback who's pretty bad.
Sam Howell. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
The Bengals defeating the Cardinals 34-20.
Good comeback game. Joe Burrow was out there.
Back. It looked like the old school Bengals from the last couple seasons, so it's very concerning. Hey,
Hollywood Brown having himself a season though, man. Like
he's
over
played
there.
Well.
He's having him a season. I mean, I bet you guys wish you kept him.
No, because last year he stunk. So it was like,
yeah, but this year he's playing well.
I mean, he's literally all they have. So it's like if they don't have him, they wouldn't have anyone. So
that's true.
Eagles over the Rams 23-14. The Eagles improved to 5-0.
Yeah, this was
not impressively though. They've looked kind of rough. That's why I wonder if they can actually match up well against the 49ers this time. I mean, but again, we're basing it off of the incredible season they had last year. It was a historic season for the Eagles last year. I mean, they're just going to regress back to the mean. Like, it's just not going to happen the same way. But hey, they're still winning games, and that's all that really matters is they're finding ways to win. And for the Rams, they're a dicey team, man. Like, Cooper Kupp comes back, immediately starts contributing. I mean,
I love that for my fantasy team.
This Rams team is they're not bad, man. They're really not. They're actually a decent team. I'm not saying like they were the year they won the Super Bowl, but I think they can make a run at the playoffs at some point.
Yeah, I agree with that. But the Eagles, though, I mean, I'm not sure. I feel like they have more power and they can just explode to a victory, but keeping it close. So I don't know there. But moving on, man, Nathaniel Hackett walking back into where he started as a head coach, and they beat the Broncos, the Jets, 31-21.
Skip this game. I got nothing to say.
Stay humble, boys. Just stay humble.
Yeah. And then bringing back up comments to Sean Payton at the post-game press conference. Pretty funny.
Yeah, he should have just stayed retired.
Yeah,
this was definitely analyzing
Sean Payton. Like, this was just...
He's a big stooge.
This has been a terrible coaching job. And it looks like they're about to start. It looks like depending on what happens here in this game against the Chiefs, it may determine whether they start to have a fire sale and start trading away all their players and just start rebuilding this whole thing back up. It's crazy to think that there was a time when, all these teams like Washington and Philly were all vying to try to get a trade for Russell Wilson.
I know.
He's just god awful, man. I'm not putting it all on him still. I'm not, because again, this Denver defense has been terrible.
Oh, it's bad. It's just
but like Russell Wilson is just not. He's just not it, man. He
just throws terrible picks at the worst time, and this game is a prime example of that. Like, oh my god, throwing across your body, throwing across the what is it? Yeah, it just bad.
Mac Jones did.
Yeah, Mac Jones does it so regularly. It's just like, oh man.
Breece Hall, by the way, Breece Hall in this game was awesome.
He was
absolutely. Yeah, he was a big factor in this game.
Yeah,
it's good to see him.
He's a fun player. He's a fun player.
Yeah, it's good to see that he's kind of starting to get back to how he looked before he got injured last season. It's good to see that because he's an exciting player for sure.
I agree.
And last but not least, the Raiders defeating the Packers on Monday night.
Dude, I didn't watch a lick of this, but I saw that Jordan Love threw 3 interceptions. So
yeah, he sort of
Jordan Love did not have the best game.
Like nobody should be saying jump the ship on this kid. I mean, Aaron Rodgers had a terrible first season when he took over the team. Like, let's relax here. Let's see. Let's let this kid. Let's let this kid. Have some time to develop. Like, don't jump the gun here. This team is super young. It is what it is. Let's relax. Also, that last interception was pretty incredible, though.
Yeah,
absolutely. But that wraps up the breeze around the league. We're getting straight into the Kirby on Sports PickEm. Are we ready, gentlemen?
Let's roll it.
Let's roll the picks. If you're watching us on YouTube, the picks graphic is up. in for our audio listeners. We will be starting with our picks. The overall record 17 and 13.
Whoa. This is not your segment. This is my segment.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So
take it from the top.
We are 5 weeks into the season. This is pretty much, technically speaking, the quarter point of the season. So a quarter of the way through, we had an awful week, boys. Last week
it was rough.
I had the roughest. I went 2-4 last week, somehow, some way. But Dan and Kirby both went 3-3. So we had a rough one. But right now, as it stands, Dan is in first place at 18-12. In second place is Kirby at 17-13. And your boy, the reigning, defending, undisputed Pick'ems champion, is in a rut and is at 500 at 15-15. Didn't think that was going to happen, but it is what it is. But we got plenty of season left. So the game's not over, boys. All I need is one good week, and I'm back in. So the games we'll be picking this week are Cowboys, Chargers, Commanders, Falcons, Seahawks, Bengals, Ravens, Titans, Lions, Buccaneers, and Vikings, Bears. For the second week in a row, the three main teams have made the pick'ems.
That's right.
So I guess I'll go first and say my picks. Obviously, my first pick is obviously going to be Dallas, contractually obligated to take them. And then I will be taking the Commanders over the Falcons. I just think the Commanders will bounce back. I think they, especially with all the extra time that they're going to have to prepare for this game, I think that they'll be ready and they're going to want to wash that bad taste of losing to Chicago out their mouth. I'm going to take the Bengals over the Seahawks just because I think Joe Burrow is starting to finally be able to move better on that calf, which I saw some medical professionals on Twitter say that, yeah, he should, like, at this point, he should be able to start moving around better on that calf. And it showed he was moving a lot better, and Jamar Chase had the game of his life. So I think they're going to kind of ride that wave. And I think it'll be a tough competitive game against the Seahawks, but I'm going to just pick the Bengals. I'm going to take the Ravens over the Titans. I think the Ravens are going to want some comeback here, and the Titans offense just it's not impressive. Ryan Tannehill has looked very bad. And yeah, I'm going to take the Lions over the Bucks. I just think the Lions have more firepower, but I think this will be a close and competitive game. I think Baker Mayfield has been playing very well, along with the rest of that Bucks team. And then I'm going to take the surprise pick, and I'm going to take Chicago over Minnesota. A wild pick, even in my opinion, but I think that I think they've been playing very well the past 2 weeks. And I think that win on Thursday, I think I think that kind of helped Justin Fields' confidence. And I think he's going to play another outstanding game against this Vikings team that is now not going to have Justin Jefferson. But I mean, I could definitely still see the Vikings winning this game. So those are my picks. Dan, what are yours?
Yeah, so I'm going to kick it off, and I'm going to pick the home team. The Chargers are going to take down the Cowboys. This is tough for me to pick. I feel like Dallas is definitely going to be hungry, wanting revenge, wanting to get back to their winning ways in this game. And I could see this game coming down to the end. But, yeah, it's sort of a surprise pick for me. I'm going to pick the Chargers. I know I hate on the social media quarterback all the time. But I think he's going to have a good game in this one when it counts most. I'm going to take the Falcons over the Commanders. This is probably another surprising pick. But I can't really gauge where the Falcons are right now, and I can't really gauge where the Commanders are either. So this game was sort of a coin flip for me. Since the Falcons are at home, I said, why not? I'll take the Falcons in this game. But definitely going to be a close game. I'm with Carlos. I'm going to take the Bengals over the Seahawks. Just watching how the Bengals bounced back last week, started to look like their old selves with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow getting back on track. I think it's going to be more of the same against Seattle. I think it's going to be a good game. But I hate to pick another home team, but since the Bengals are at home, that's a tough place to go in and win. And, Seattle having to travel across the country, I think the Bengals take the win in that one. I'm legally obligated to pick the Ravens.
Contractually.
Actually, legally signed a legally binding document against the Titans. Going to be a tough game in London. Hopefully, we can get over the ghosts of London's past and put that behind us and beat the Titans. I'm going to take the Lions over the Bucks. Similarly to what Carlos said, I feel like they're playing really good football right now. Two teams that are playing really solid football, actually, as Carlos also mentioned. But there's something special about this Lions team, and I was a doubter for so long. I think I'm starting to become a Lions believer, but I have a feeling saying that now that's going to be clipped because I'm going to be wrong and Tampa's going to win. And then finally, I'm going to pick the Vikings over the Bears. The Vikings are due for a close win like they had last season. They haven't had any this year. They've lost all those games. So I'm going to pick them. All right. Josh Kirby, the host, CEO, and founder of the podcast. Go ahead.
All right. So I think the Dallas Cowboys will have a bounce back against the Chargers. I'm picking the Dallas Cowboys. I have been told it's a rule that I am contractually obligated to pick the Commanders, even though my original pick was
no. That pick doesn't exist. What are you talking about? You always pick the Commanders.
Pick? What pick?
It was always the Commanders. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. I'm picking the Commanders because I am contractually obligated per Kirby on Sports PickEm rules. The Seahawks, they had a bye week this past week. I think they're refreshed, energized, and I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to pick the Seahawks in this game. The Titans, I'm picking the Titans over the Ravens. I think they have a bounce back after their close loss last week. I am picking the Lions. I think the Lions will give the Bucks a little bit too much to chew, and I am picking the Vikings for their second win of the season over the Chicago Bears.
Real quick, does anybody know when Tennessee's heading off to London? Because Baltimore already left.
The Ravens are already there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Smart, in my opinion.
That definitely makes a difference. I think
I think it makes a difference.
Left.
The earlier you get there, the more travel time you have, and
you give
more acclimated you are.
Well, because like Buffalo, they didn't get there. They didn't leave until Friday, so they literally only gave themselves like a day to adjust. And I don't think that works well. I think
these London games are a toss-up, in my opinion.
They really are. That's why this game is hard to pick because of the London factor.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, the Kirby
the last time they flew out on Thursday night. I'm trying to see when the Titans flew out. No, that's when the Ravens got clobbered by the Jags. They flew out on a Thursday night, so this is better, I think.
So the Kirby on Sports PickEm, as always, brought to you by Anthony's Pizza, home of the Warrior in Steven City. Make sure once posted on our Facebook page, the Kirby on Sports podcast, you pick the 6 games that we pick from, and the person with the most amount picks right. And do we have a Thursday game on here?
No, we don't.
We do not. So picks will lock Sunday morning instead of Thursday. So once you get your picks in, whoever picks the most, that will be the winner of a large cheese pizza from Anthony's Pizza in Steven City. Big thanks to them as always. But that is our pick'em, and that about wraps it up.
I have a closing
for the Kirby on Sports podcast. But man, I tell you, I just have to say one thing. Our group outing to FedEx Field, a lot of great energy. And with that, you might need some more energy to recoup after a long night. So don't forget my good friends at Don't Sleep Energy. Find them on don'tsleepenergy.com or amazon.com. Use promo code KOS podcast. You get 12% off your order every single time. Once again, a huge thanks to our sponsors, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate, Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services, Mark Lynch with Guild Mortgage, and Shenandoah Music. You can find us on KirbyOnSports.com, all streaming platforms, all social media platforms. The birthday boy, take it away.
The 3-man booth was at FedEx, and all our teams got exposed. But always remember, boys, Don't worry about a thing, cause every little thing is gonna be all right.
Oh man, what a time to be alive, gentlemen. Thank you all for tuning in, everybody, to episode 187 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Until next time, we say so long and peace out.